In a world where freedom means everything, animals have faced metallic bars for a long time, but not anymore. It's time for these majestic creatures to breathe in the winds of freedom and peace. Here are some heartwarming stories of animals being freed for the first time, emerging as champions of the wild once more. Circus lions. For 8 long years, Tarzan and Tanya's lives were confined to a circus, but hope arrived in the form of a rescue team. Their journey to freedom started as they were now playing like kittens upon receiving love and care. Soon, they were sent to a sanctuary in South Africa where they were about to interact with the real world for the first time. Just as the doors opened, Tarzan felt a bit hesitant about the unfamiliar land. Tanya, on the other hand, was more confident while strolling through the grass. They were finally together in a beautiful environment, embracing liberty for the rest of their lives. Millions of pigeons! All of these trucks are standing here for a great purpose. They are filled with pigeons that had been facing the confined walls instead of the open sky, and it was finally time to make a return in the real world. Just as the gates are opened, millions of pigeons gracefully fly away together. Here's another truck releasing hundreds of birds back into their natural habitat. Just look at them go! Their harmonious flight creates a soothing scene for every person who witnesses it. Griffon vulture. This griffon vulture is super excited to be released back in the wild. This is why it is stretching its wings wide open to feel the air passing through them. I'm amazed by the size of this bird. It looks so majestic. It never belonged to those small metal boxes. Pigs family. This sow and her 6 babies were rescued from slaughter by Viva. They were brought to the Dean Farm Animal Sanctuary, where it was finally time to release them into the open world. Did you just see how she is dancing all over the place, celebrating her freedom? This shows that animals are a lot more than what meets the eye. Even her piglets can't get enough of running all over the grass. I'm glad this whole family got a home where they can feel free and protected. Great horned owls. These great horned owls were rescued as babies, and now they were ready to fly in the open sky on their own. The city of Goodyear had taken care of these majestic birds all their lives, and now they were releasing them back into the wild where they belonged. Did you just see how it flew away? I hope these birds find their place out there. Elephants return. This is Kum Min, an elephant who had given his entire time to working for humans. He used to mingle around with tourists that would visit his area, and now he was ready to retire, to continue a life of freedom. Kum Min was assisted by a group of people who got all the chains off of him so he could move and be free on his own terms. Just look how happy this elephant is. Once he was freed, he walked on to spend the rest of his days as part of a herd in the jungle, never to come back again. Chimpanzee. This team is on its way to get Wunda the chimpanzee back to its original place, the forest. As soon as the workers lifted the door, she came out to see the paradise where she'd spend the rest of her life. Look how overwhelmed she is. And as a thankful gesture, she even hugs the woman who got her freedom back. When she was ready, Wunda ventured into her beautiful, forever world. Here's another group of chimps celebrating seeing the sky for the first time. They had lived their whole life in a laboratory, and being freed from there was the best thing that could happen to them. Whiny cow. Maybelle had moved to her new home, where every person loved and adored her, but she was still feeling lonely and searching for something dear she had lost. The people who brought her to the barn had to help her out, but what was it that she was looking for? Turns out, Maybelle had a baby that was kept hidden, so the people decided to get her kid back. Once the family was reunited, both the mother and her child walked happily in the area, completely inseparable for the rest of the time. Before we move any further, like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon so you can keep watching our amazing content. Ocelot. These men have some ocelots ready to make their way back home. Just as the doors were opened, its eyes widened, observing that everything around her had changed in a split second. The lush green trees, fresh air, and fellow ocelots were waiting for her to rejoin the wild. Just look how awestruck this animal is. Within seconds, she jumped out, never to come back again. Lion. Will had spent his entire life as part of a circus. He was completely detached from the natural world. Just as the doors for his freedom were opened, he rushed out without a doubt. While running over the grass, feeling the soil and the freedom in the air, he just could not contain his excitement. It was finally time to run freely and explore the real world. Will was reborn, ready to enjoy the rest of his life and stay away from any cage. Lion family. These lions have been living in the walls of concrete in Romanian zoos, far away from the natural world. But this is not going to carry on for long. These people have put in the effort and dedication to get the big cats out in a far better environment. Their boxes contain a whole family of lions ready to experience the winds of freedom. At first, the cubs and their parents felt a bit disoriented and confused, but within minutes, they got comfortable in their new house. Lucky spider monkey. Spider monkey population has become scarce in the wild during the past few years, so the rescue center decided to release some of the rescued monkeys that had really tough lives, moving back into the wild to boost their population and lifestyle. As the sun sets, you can feel the anticipation. In mere minutes, they'll taste freedom, and just as the doors open, they'll rush out in the forest teeming with life, offering them all they need for a happy forever. The joyful monkeys swing from tree to tree, no longer a prisoner of bars. Happy wild horses. All of these people have gathered around to witness an amazing sight. This vehicle is the last human cage the horses will be experiencing, because they are about to be released back into the wild, where they belong. Just as the door opened, all of the animals knew it was time to return home. This place had been hostile because of a fire that took down everything in 2013. But now, it had regained its nature, and it was perfect for these horses to roam around freely. Mover chimp. This chimp could not believe its eyes when the doors of its enclosure finally opened, welcoming it to explore the outside world. The animals had spent their entire lives for human research purposes, so this was pretty new to them. After inspecting the situation properly, an older chimp came from the back and walked right under the sun, encouraging others to do so too. Once they saw him having a good time, all the other chimps also stepped out, enjoying the natural world. Turtles. These turtles have been rescued by the Amos Rehabilitation Center, and once they knew the animals were ready for the wild, it was time to set them free. The crew had set a slide down the ship to ensure the turtles make a safe return, and just as they placed one on the slide, there was nothing holding it back. Just look at it go! I had no idea turtles could swim that fast. All the other turtles also followed after. I'm sure they are delighted to be reunited with their home. Harbor porpoise. The hardworking team at the Vancouver Aquarium is releasing a harbor porpoise in its natural habitat for the very first time. Levi was rescued on the shores of Saanich Inlet and spent 5 months under the care of veterinarians. And now it was time to reunite with the ocean and its friends. The team held her close even in the water, and once it was comfortable, Levi gracefully made her journey back into the ocean. Baby penguin. This lady released a baby penguin back to its original habitat, and it felt amazed to finally feel the sand under its feet. It turned back once to thank her, and then walked towards the ocean to embrace the new freedom. Just look at that happy waddling. It is ready to finally feel the freedom of riding through the ocean waves. Peacock. This peacock had lost its way and ended in the wrong location, but luckily he was in good hands. The Karnataka State Forest Department rescued the majestic animal and got it ready to make a safe return back home. Just as they brought it back to the wild and opened the box, the peacock knew he was in the right place and made a graceful flight back, feeling lucky to be home. Panther. This is the moment a panther realizes that it is finally free and can live a fulfilling life. He had spent his entire life in captivity, and even though the facility was of top quality, he belonged in the wild world. And the realization of being able to run at full speed was out of this world. Its every leap was a leap towards the wild, and each stride announcing independence. Here's another panther that just couldn't believe its eyes when it saw the open sky and grass for the first time. It needed a slight push of encouragement to embark on its journey, and once he got it, there was no going back. Tortoise. Here's Diego, a father of 800 children. He was moved to Santa Cruz Island in Ecuador by conservationists in the mid-1960s to save its dwindling population. And now that it had done its duty, it was time to return to his island to live out his days in peace. But he won't be going alone. Obviously, he'll need some friends to have a good time. Once the volunteers reached their forever home, they got every tortoise on their back and took them to a suitable point for release. Once Diego went back, it took him just minutes to adjust to his original space. Brave elephants. Pocha had never experienced life outside of this concrete world in the last 2 decades, and her daughter Guillermina was born in the zoo completely void of anything natural. But both their lives are about to change for the good. Luckily, zoos are getting finished, and these beautiful animals will be moved closer to the real world. Once the doors opened, Pocha started inspecting her surroundings, but such a drastic change would take a little time to get accustomed to. Once they got the hang of it, the playful side came forward, and then, finally, they got to roam around in a piece of heaven, full of vegetation, food, and other fellow elephants. Penguins. These penguins had lived in the utmost care and love at the Fundación Mundo Marino, but the natural world was still far better for them. When the rescuers found the birds, they were not in suitable conditions, but after getting all the affection, they were finally ready to step out into the world they belonged in. 15 newly rehabilitated penguins were released near the ocean and made a safe journey back home. Orangutan. Just look at those hopeful eyes. This orangutan is ready to meet its old and true home again, while the others patiently wait for her to join them. Just as the doors are opened, she rushes out to explore the new world. No matter how much love was given at the facility, climbing a tree in the wild was far better for her. Captive pigs. These pigs had seen bars and captivity their whole lives, but this couldn't go on forever. Now it was time to experience some real freedom. They were rescued by Animal Place and got to feel the true essence of life once they touched the full-grown grass. Just look at the precious smile on its face. Here's another one of its friends enjoying the grass and the freedom. Siberian tigers. At this moment, the tiger realized it was finally going to reunite with its real habitat. Look how it's using its top running ability at its best. I'm sure the feeling of moving freely in the jungle is unlike anything else. After a while, its siblings also joined the tiger on the emotional journey of getting freed. It is absolutely beautiful how these animals run with such majesty. These tigers are true kings of the jungle, and they belong there. Tiger rescue. Here's another tiger that does not belong in the circus and is finally going to live a fulfilling life in the open world. Susu was rescued by some warm-hearted rescuers who had the courage to get her free from the bars. They took her to a safe place to be released in the wild, and just as the doors opened, Susu jumped out to explore the grass and the world around her. One last time, she looked back at her rescuers and then walked out of the cage, never to return. She felt amazed at how she had made it out in the real world, feeling the natural elements and living a free life. elephant. These elephants are celebrating the arrival of another one of their kind and are on their way to welcome a 1-year-old elephant named Duck Yu. The beautiful scene was captured in the Elephant Nature Park, which is the largest one present in Thailand. Duck was just 6 months old when he lost his mother, so the elephant park took him in. For about 5 months, the baby elephant stayed in the care of humans. Now that he was a grown-up elephant, it was the right time to join the herd that was waiting anxiously for him. Bald eagle. This is the magical moment a bald eagle got to span her wings again after getting fully recovered from the Wildlife Haven Hospital. Even though it has top care and facilities, it still looks happier in the open world. Here's another majestic bird getting its freedom back after spending 1 year recovering among the humans. Macaws' first flight. These macaws are on their way to finally tasting freedom after spending all their lives in metal bars. Seeing the lush green forest around them made the bird a bit confused, but they will shortly resonate with it. After a tiring hike, the rescuers finally reached the top hill to release the macaws back into the wild. The excitement got heightened as the time to fly came in. Once the door was opened, they took their first graceful flight, with nothing stopping them anymore. In the vastness of the sky, the birds finally discovered the true meaning of freedom. Seals. Look how happy this seal is to see the ocean again. Brogan was brought to Seal Rescue Ireland to heal from his situation, and now he's ready to continue his time in the water along with 2 of his new friends. Just as the doors were opened, they ran out with hearts full of excitement to meet the water and their families again. One of Brogan's friends was so overwhelmed with joy that he didn't even know how to react. Eventually, he found his way back home. Here's another happy seal that is going back where it belongs. Spooner also made a courageous recovery with the help of some kind-hearted humans, and the walk back was emotional for him and the people around. Geese. This loving and compassionate man took care of the geese, but now it was time for them to live in their actual habitat. Just as they stepped out of the cage, the celebration of spanning their wings started. Did you just see how quickly they flew out, ready to explore the new world? It's like they've been waiting for this moment for ages. Bobcats. Meet Gator and Copter, 2 young Florida bobcats who found themselves on a path to freedom. The rescuers got them into comfortable and safe boxes for release, and the cats went through an amazing journey back home. Just as the door was opened, Gator dashed out and ran towards the jungle. I'm really impressed by his speed. Copter, on the other hand, was reluctant to make his way back to freedom. But once he was placed close to the jungle, he also ran freely among the huge grass. Trafficked monkey. These red howler monkeys had spent their entire life at the Santa Fe Zoo, but this is not where they belong. They had been taken from the forest and sold by traffickers, but now it was time to return to the real world. The world where they are not bound by cages and are surrounded by huge trees and rivers. Just as the rescuers released them, the joyful monkeys celebrated their freedom by climbing the trees around them. Penguins. All of these people have gathered around to witness the magical moment of penguins being sent back to their original world. These beautiful birds were found by the Mundo Marino Foundation in critical conditions. Luckily, they took them in and provided them with care and love. And once they had regained their strength, the penguins were free to roam around in the vast oceans. Bear release. This large grizzly was relocated from a Hutterite colony in Valier. Just as the doors of freedom were opened, the bear could not even believe it was actually time to go back to the wild. And once it accepted his fate, the giant leapt out of the car and ran away into the wild. Here's another bear that just could not comprehend how to react to its freedom. It stepped out of the car and simply observed the beautiful jungle in awe. And once the door had shut, it finally ran out to enjoy its freedom. Embracing monkey. These vervet monkeys cannot wait anymore to meet their members in the wild world. A young one had to temporarily leave its family and stay in rehabilitation due to a small concern. 3 weeks later, it had fully recovered and was ready to rejoin its family. Just as the man released the baby, it got the perfect welcome, with everyone waiting for him. Once it had climbed up the building, the mother hugged her baby, celebrating its healthy return to the wild. Deer release. Look at these deers running among the grass. They had been growing and preparing for this moment with the humans for 6 months. It shows why they are so excited to finally reunite with the wild world. Just seeing them hopping around brings me so much joy. Here's another unique-looking animal that joined the deers on their journey to the wild. It's a one-of-a-kind leucistic porcupine. Once Lucy entered the wild world, she was a bit skeptical at first, but got comfortable in its surroundings quickly. Seabirds. An oil spill made life tough for these seabirds, so they were rescued from their habitat until they could become safe again. Now they had recovered from the impact, and the ocean was also in a better condition, so the birds were released back. Just as the doors were opened, some of the birds made a flight directly to the sea, while others stayed for a moment to savor the moment. Rescued leopard cat. The group is on its way to giving leopard cats a second chance at life in the wild. The cats had been a part of the illegal wildlife trade and were finally getting back to where they belonged. Just look how it's exploring the area around it, getting accustomed to the real world it belonged to. After getting satisfied with its surroundings, it finally leapt out of the cage into the wild world. Beaver. This man rescued a beaver stuck in an oil spill. He even took care of the animal and got it fit enough to make a safe return. Once the beaver was ready, he took it to the riverbank where it lived the whole life. Once the animal was freed by the man, it immediately made its way to the water, as if dancing in there to celebrate a happy return. Bat. Meet Luke. He had been in human care for 3.5 weeks after being rescued from fruit tree netting entanglement. Now he had perfectly recovered and was ready to venture back in the woods. Just as the woman opened the door, he could feel the familiarity in the air and knew it was time. With a graceful flight, Luke raced back to meet his friends again. Baby deer. This baby deer got stuck in a narrow bar door, and a kind-hearted man helped it get back with its mother. Just as he got free from the place, the fawn rushed back to its mother, waiting for it. She looked at the person as if to thank him, and then made her way back to the forest. Rescued bear. This is Jeddah. She had been used for entertainment purposes by humans who felt that their selfies were more important than her freedom. But not anymore. Jeddah's life is about to change for the good. Some rescuers found out where she was living and put in the effort to get her back where she belonged. They freed her from all the unnecessary chains and got her ready to enter the free world. Jeddah was transferred to a sanctuary where she accepted as her forever place and lived there happily. Tiger couple. This tigress, along with a male, had lived in an abandoned train car for 15 years, and exploring the new world was a bit scary at first. But once she stepped out a little, she knew exploring the area was worth it. The smell of the grass and the feeling of walking on the mud made the tigress realize that she was in the right place. The older male, on the other hand, was too overwhelmed, even shivering at a point. But once he came out looking at his companion, the experience was nothing like anything before. Both of them were finally at peace. Hippo. Meet 3 hippos who were orphaned when their family left during the drought season, but they were cared for by some kind-hearted people. They were in rehab for nearly 3 years, and these animals truly belonged in the wild. So it was time to get them free once again. This is their true place, and all 3 of the hippos are about to be rejoined in the wild world. Just as the doors were opened, they ran into the water and gathered in a circle, almost like celebrating a safe return. Zebra. These zebras are running in the open fields for the very first time in their lives. Just look how happy and satisfied they are. When the doors of the van opened up, they ran out, hoping to never see the bars again. The grass, lush fields, and open sky are their forever residents from this day on. Tiger. This gathering is made to witness a tiger finally get freed from the metallic residence and venture into its true home. Just as the door of its enclosure was lifted, the tiger came out growling. It's like he was showing everyone that it never belonged to their man-made boxes. Elephant. Trumpeting and rumbling, these 9 orphans are ready for their return to the wild. Sri Lanka's DWC had nurtured and taken care of these majestic elephants since they were babies, and now they were finally ready to explore and live on their own. The whole team made sure that the animals had a smooth return and could get the best chance at survival. Monkeys. Just look at that excitement! These monkeys were rescued and rehabilitated to regain the strength to endure wildlife, and now they're ready to move back there. Just as the man opens the door, the monkeys flee away, rushing towards the free air to live where they belong. Elephant seal. These hopeful eyes are just so adorable. This baby elephant seal was rescued by SeaWorld San Diego, and it was now time for it to make a safe return to the wild. But I just couldn't believe that all of it was actually happening. After taking some time to accept the beautiful gift from its rescuers, the animal finally managed to swim back into the ocean. Iberian lynx. Just as the doors opened in front of this lynx, it seized the opportunity and ran away into the vast open ground where it belonged. It can finally run at top speeds without anything coming in its way or blocking its path. Jaguar. This is the magical moment a jaguar named Osato finally gets the chance to get its freedom back after recovering from a fire incident. And once he notices how similar the surroundings are, he immediately makes his way out into the wild. The giraffe. These people have devised a unique plan to get a stranded giraffe back into the wild. It lived in Lake Baringo National Park, which grew 6 inches every single day and separated the giraffe from its herd. The people built a raft, got her on board, and used boats to reunite her with her friends. Surprisingly, she remained calm the whole way through and got to the other side with ease. Happy koala. Timberwolf was brought to the Australia Zoo Wildlife Hospital and was not very fit to make his return to the wildlife. So he got the best treatment at that place. After some time, he started showing signs of significant recovery. His rescuers took him to the same area where he was spotted, and just as they opened the safety cage, the koala bear showed off its exceptional climbing skills, making it clear that he was ready for a safe return. Honey badgers. This is the magical moment some honey badgers were released back into the wild after they had accidentally wandered in the cities. At first, when the doors were opened, they did not make their grand escape. But soon, they took their chance and dashed right out of the boxes. Civet cat. The Manakdo Leopard Rescue received this Indian civet cat, and it needed proper treatment. A whole team of professional veterinarians took care of the animal, and once it had healed completely, it was ready to come back to the wild world. The team opened the door for it, and it immediately rushed out in the bushes. Thank you very much for watching the video. Do like and share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to not miss any of the upcoming amazing videos. Thank you once again.